Have you ever sat alone in the quiet of your home, sunlight spilling across the floor, the clock ticking in the corner, and felt a weight inside you that had nothing to do with your age or your body? Not a pain, not an ache, but something heavier, a kind of tiredness that no rest seems to cure. A stillness that doesn't feel peaceful, just hollow. We often talk about the challenges of getting older. Our bones, our joints, our memory. But what if the heaviest part of aging isn't in the knees or the back, but in the heart? Perhaps it's all the things we've carried: regrets, expectations, old wounds, unspoken truths, habits that no longer fit. And maybe, just maybe, that weight is what's keeping joy from rising. Through meditation, we discover something profound. The Buddha once said, "To let go is to be free." These are not simply words of consolation, they are a direct pointing to the nature of liberation itself. When you stop clinging to what was, to who you were, to what might have been, something miraculous happens. The heart begins to lighten. The mind begins to clear. And in that spaciousness, ancient wisdom reveals itself. This isn't a motivational speech. You don't need one. This is something softer, something slower, a gentle wake-up call. Because what if the next chapter of your life, this very one you're in, wasn't about adding more, chasing more, or fixing more, but about releasing what no longer serves, letting go not to lose, but to return to lightness, to presence, to peace. In the minutes ahead, let's walk quietly together through 8 Buddhist lessons that can transform how you experience these elder years. And as we explore them, ask yourself not what you still want to hold on to, but what you're finally ready to set down. Lesson 1. Let go of the beliefs that there's nothing left to learn. Have you ever felt, quietly and almost imperceptibly, like the world no longer expects you to grow? That somehow, after a certain age, you're just supposed to know everything you'll ever know and simply sit with what is, rather than reaching toward what could be? It's a silent weight, isn't it? This unspoken belief that learning is for the young and wisdom, once attained, is fixed like a statue in stone. But ancient wisdom teaches us something infinitely more liberating. What if I told you that this belief, the one that whispers you've seen it all, is not only false, but quietly stealing your joy? There is a story told in the Buddhist tradition of an elderly monk named Ananda who, even in his 80s, still began each morning by bowing before his teacher's shrine and reciting one line of scripture as if it were the first time he had heard it. A young novice once asked him, "Master, why do you still practice as if you are a beginner?" The old monk smiled softly and replied, "Because the beginner sees the world with wonder. The master only knows how little he truly understands." The Buddha taught that just as a candle cannot burn without fire, we cannot live without a spiritual life. This spiritual life doesn't end at a certain age. If anything, it begins in earnest when the noise quiets, when the ambition settles, and when the soul begins to whisper questions that the younger self never had time to ask. I once met a woman named Eleanor at a mindfulness retreat. She was 76, widowed, soft-spoken. Her eyes, though wrinkled at the corners, still sparkled like candlelight. She told me she had just started learning Mandarin. Not to travel, not to impress, simply because she was curious. "I want to see how far my brain can stretch," she said with a grin. Turns out, it's still reaching. That sentence stayed with me. It made me wonder, when was the last time you let your mind stretch? Not towards something practical or productive, but towards something that simply stirs your soul. A poem, A new question, a language, a truth. Through the practice of meditation and the development of mindful awareness, we cultivate a path towards liberation. The heart grows heavy, not because of age, but because we stop letting the light of discovery in. A closed mind is the beginning of stagnation, but a curious mind, that is a fountain of youth, no cream could ever replicate. The lotus, one of Buddhism's most sacred symbols, grows not in clean water but in the mud, yet it still rises, petal by petal, reaching toward the Sunday. In the same way, no matter your age, your mind can still bloom, not despite the mud of life, but because of it. So I ask you, dear one, what new question could you sit with today? Not to answer, but to feel. What truth have you quietly avoided because you thought you were too old to change your mind? And most of all, what would happen if you approached this chapter of life not as the end of your learning, but as its most sacred beginning? Because once you open that door again gently, like an old friend, you've nearly forgotten you may find something waiting on the other side. And that brings us to another door, one far harder to open, one that leads not to knowledge but to the realm of the heart. Leçon 2. Let go of toxic relationships without guilt. There's a truth that most people carry like a secret. The older we get, the more we crave peace, not the kind of peace that comes from silence or solitude, but the kind that settles gently inside the chest, the kind that comes when we no longer have to brace ourselves before every phone call, every visit, every interaction. And yet, how many of us still keep people in our lives who do nothing but stir up unrest? Here's the hard part. Sometimes those people are family. The Buddha taught the concept of Sangha, a community that nurtures inner growth. Your Sangha does not have to be many people. Sometimes it is just one person who brings calm instead of chaos. Ancient wisdom understands that energy flows where attention goes. And if your attention is constantly drawn toward maintaining relationships that drain you, little energy remains for your own liberation. There's a parable in the Buddhist tradition about a monk named Tissa. He was known in the monastery as dutiful but distant, always polite but often withdrawn. One evening, his master noticed his sadness and asked him to speak openly. Tissa finally admitted, with great shame, that he had continued writing letters to his brother, who only ever responded with anger and cruelty. "He's my blood," Tissa said. "I must endure him." The master looked out toward the garden where a bamboo tree had shed one of its stalks. "Do you see that branch fallen on the path?" he asked. "It grew here, but it no longer serves the tree. Does the bamboo mourn its absence, or does it simply continue growing?" Tissa sat in silence, and something inside him loosened. Not in rebellion, not in anger, but in quiet relief. You see, we are taught to believe that loyalty means enduring harm, that love means tolerating pain, that aging means taking the high road no matter what it costs us inside. But Buddhism offers a kinder way, a clearer one. Through meditation, we discover that we don't have to carry everyone's suffering, only our own awareness of it. At this stage of life, you have earned the right to be selective. You can love people from a distance. You can wish them well without wishing them back into your life. You can choose environments that feel gentle. Peaceful relationships do not demand that you shrink, explain, impress, or defend yourself. They offer presence, not pressure, listening, not judgment. I once sat beside a woman named Clara at a tea meditation. She was 82, elegant and warm. But there was a wariness in her voice. She told me that for years she had kept attending Sunday dinners with her eldest son, even though every week ended in tears. He criticized her choices, mocked her beliefs, dismissed her feelings. "But he's my son," she whispered. "What kind of mother walks away?" And I said nothing, because I didn't need to. She had already asked the right question. The next week, she did not attend dinner. Instead, she sat alone on her porch with a cup of jasmine tea and the evening breeze as company. For the first time in years, she told me later, "I felt like I could breathe. This isn't a call to cut people out in haste. It's an invitation to ask, does this relationship honor your peace, or does it erode it quietly, like water against stone?" You have the right to choose who gets access to your heart in this season of life. And no, that doesn't make you cold, it makes you wise. As the Buddhist affirmation reminds us, "If it costs my peace, it is too expensive." Because there is a kind of love, the truest kind, that begins with protecting your own light. When you let go of relationships that diminish you, you make space for connections that nourish you. Lesson 3. Be present. There is no aging in this moment. The Buddha teaches, do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment. These words point to the most liberating truths. The only moment that truly belongs to you is this one. Not yesterday, not tomorrow now. Your past is a library of moments. You may visit it when you need wisdom, but you are not meant to live there. The future is a projection of the mind, shaped by fear, hope, and imagination. Ancient wisdom reveals that, through practices such as meditation and the development of mindful awareness, one may cultivate a path towards liberation from suffering. And here is the profound secret that meditation masters have discovered. In awareness of the present moment, there is no aging. When you are fully here, fully present, the concept of old age dissolves. There is only breath, only sensation, only this precious instant of being alive. Every breath is a reminder you are still here. Presence does not mean forcing yourself to be grateful every second. It means allowing each moment to exist without judgment. A Buddhist teacher once said something that transformed my understanding. Everything changes, but until I had illness, impermanence was just intellectual knowledge. It shifted from everything changes to everything disappears. Yet even in the face of mortality, there is hope woven into the fabric of each moment. The same teacher said, "Every breath's new chances." This is a great teaching for older people, because part of aging is thinking there are no more new chances, that you're stuck with what you've got. But that's not really true. Every breath, every day, every morning, every person you meet is a kind of new chance. The practice is simple but profound. Wherever your body is, bring your mind there too. If you are walking, walk. If you are eating, taste your food. If you are sitting, simply sit. The world teaches us to multitask, to divide our attention, to scatter our thoughts. Buddhism teaches the opposite. Return home to yourself. You don't need to travel to a monastery to practice presence. You can find it in ordinary moments. The sound of warm tea being poured into a cup, the morning light entering your window, the feeling of your breath rising and falling. These simple things become extraordinary when you are fully present. Through meditation, we learn that the habit of constant doing fades, and presence becomes our strongest state. In this stillness, life begins to move in surprising ways. New paths open, ideas flow, answers show up not because you chase them, but because you made space for them to arrive. Instead of wishing you were younger, try asking, what beauty exists in this moment? What can I appreciate today that I ignored before? Do not let the future steal the joy of today. Do not let the past steal the peace of now. Life does not happen in memories or plans. Life happens in this breath, this heartbeat, this sacred moment of presence. Lesson 4. Accept impermanence and make peace with change. Everything changes. Everything. Your body changes, your relationships change, your priorities shift, and even the way you see yourself evolves. The Buddhist teaching of impermanence, anicca, reveals that nothing in life is permanent. And while this truth can feel heavy, it is actually the doorway to peace. The Buddha emphasized the importance of the mind and recommended methods for cultivating, disciplining, and training it as one of the essential tools for leading a happy and successful life. When we stop clinging to what used to be, we begin to appreciate what is. As we age, the world around us seems to move faster. People you love may leave your life, some slowly, some suddenly. The face you see in the mirror may no longer match the image you carry in your mind. Moments that once defined you, your work, your roles, your achievements begin to soften into memories. You might wonder, who am I now, when the things I identified with are no longer here? Buddhism offers a steady answer. You are not what changes. You are the awareness witnessing the change. You are not your achievements, nor your appearance, nor the physical strength you once had. You are the observer. You are the consciousness that remains, even when everything else shifts. The Buddha provided guidance on embracing change. Splendid royal chariots wear away, and the body too experiences old age. To overcome the fear of aging, we should engage in daily contemplation, acknowledging, I am subject to decay. I cannot escape decay since all living beings are subject to aging. Think about the seasons. Spring blossoms, summer thrives, autumn releases, winter rests. Each season is both temporary and necessary. Aging is simply the winter of life, quiet, reflective, filled with clarity that youth cannot offer. Without winter, no tree would rest. Without rest, no tree would bloom again. Traditional Buddhist contemplation includes the 5 remembrances, which through meditation help us cultivate deep acceptance. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape illness. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. These may sound somber, but through meditation and mindful awareness, they become liberating. Whenever something changes your body, your routine, your relationships, say to yourself, it is changing. And that is the nature of all things. Watch how your heart softens. When you resist impermanence, suffering increases. You cling to what is already gone. You compare your present self to a past that no longer exists. But when you accept impermanence through meditation, something magical happens. You begin to live with gratitude and presence. Instead of saying, I used to be able to do this, you begin to say, I am grateful I can still do this. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means no longer fighting reality. Aging becomes less about loss and more about clarity, less about what you can no longer do and more about what truly matters. The truth is, impermanence is the reason life is precious. If nothing changed, nothing would matter. Every moment would blur together. Instead, we have this gift, the gift of limited time, the gift of finite moments, which makes each moment sacred. Embrace impermanence, and you will stop mourning the passage of time. Instead, you will start honoring it. Lesson 5. Cultivate meaning through gratitude and simple joy. As we move into the later chapters of life, the world may try to convince us that our value lies in productivity, accomplishment, or the ability to do more, achieve more, and be more. But Buddhism offers an opposite path, finding happiness in less. Ancient wisdom teaches that gratitude is not a reaction to having everything you want. Gratitude is the recognition that you already have enough. Many people spend their youth chasing happiness, believing that joy is hiding in a future event. But when you reach an age where those goals no longer hold the same power, you realize something profound. Happiness was always available in the small moments you overlooked. Buddhism teaches that the mind creates suffering not from what we lack but from failing to appreciate what we have. Gratitude shifts the mind from scarcity to abundance. It reminds you that peace is not found in more, it's found in noticing. Research has shown something beautiful about gratitude practice with older adults. In one session, a woman said, "I never knew that I was thankful for my eyes that I could see," and she started to cry. This is the power of bringing awareness to what we take for granted. In Buddhism, there is a concept called sukha, a deep, enduring joy that comes from contentment, not excitement. Excitement requires constant stimulation. Contentment requires only awareness. Through meditation and mindful presence, we discover that joy doesn't have to be loud. Sometimes joy is silent. Sometimes joy is simply breathing. Each day, before you sleep, think of 3 simple things you appreciated today. Not big things, small ones. The taste of something delicious, a conversation that felt genuine, the sunlight through your window. This trains your mind to see life as a gift, not a burden. When you wake up in the morning, instead of thinking another day, try whispering, "I have been given another day." That small shift transforms routine into reverence. Gratitude also helps you release comparison. You stop measuring your life against others. You stop thinking, "At my age, I should have done more." Instead, you begin to think, "At my age, I am grateful for what I have learned." Buddhism teaches that the greatest benefit in giving comes from giving to those who are free from greed, hatred, and delusion. The practice of dana generosity is about how we are, more than what we do. Through generosity, we cultivate a generous spirit. Your life is not defined by what you did or didn't accomplish. Your life is defined by how deeply you lived it. Gratitude leads to another truth. Purpose in older age is not about output, it's about presence. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to catch up. You don't need to compete. You simply need to be here, aware and appreciative. You are still contributing by showing up with kindness, patience, and wisdom. You are still shaping the world through every gentle word and every thoughtful gesture. A grateful heart does not need more time. It simply uses the time it has left beautifully, not by chasing, not by wanting, but by noticing. That is the essence of joy. Lesson 6. Embrace your body and befriend physical limitations. One of the most profound, yet challenging aspects of aging is the changing relationship with our physical body. Buddhist teachings offer a compassionate and liberating approach to this inevitable transformation. Ancient wisdom teaches that the body is the gateway to liberation. When we choose to be present with our body, when it is in pain, or when it is feeling the tension caused by our wanting mind, we are accepting our life experience just as it is, in this moment, without clinging. Research shows that mindfulness of the body has particular therapeutic value for older adults because physical symptoms, deteriorating biological systems, chronic disease, and pain are inevitable. The body is ground zero for both suffering and happiness. Through meditation, we can transform our relationship with physical discomfort. The Buddha explained the crucial distinction between pain and suffering from pain. When afflicted with a feeling of pain, those who lack inner awareness sorrow, grieve and lament, beating their breasts and becoming distraught. So they feel two pains, physical and mental. It is just like being shot with an arrow, and right afterwards being shot with a second one, so that they feel two arrows. We cannot always control the first arrow, physical pain, but through meditation and mindful awareness, we can learn to avoid the second arrow, which is mental suffering about the pain. This is not about denial. It's about changing our relationship to reality. It's not easy being human. It's not easy growing older. The body does not get healthier as we age. There is a natural decline. This is life. Yes, it's challenging, but denying it doesn't make the challenges disappear. Why not embrace the change? Why not give yourself all the cosmic permission slips that come with growing older? The joy of slowing down, the joy of caring less about what other people think of you, the joy of choosing what you want to do with your day, the joy of being rather than doing, by allowing yourself to be fully present in whatever moment you're experiencing, even if that's aging naturally, you fully inhabit something new. Through meditation, we learn to develop relaxed attention, learning to soften into awareness of our physical sensations. Regardless of whether they are pleasant or unpleasant, the discomfort may be real and at times difficult, but it is just the sensation in the body. Your suffering often comes from your mind contracting and clinging, as it collapses into reactivity. When we tap into the fundamental awareness of our person, we are completely contained within our somatic experience. The body is at the heart of the mystery of human life. Our increasingly fragile and infirm bodies and minds are sacred and worthy of the greatest kindness and care. To respect our aging at every stage is the greatest kindness we can offer to ourselves and those we love. The body is not separate from our awareness. In fact, awareness pervades the body. Lesson 7. Cultivate solitude and silence wisely. In a world dominated by noise and constant connection, the Buddhist practice of solitude and silence offers a profound pathway to inner peace, especially valuable in the later years of life. In Buddhist teachings, silence is revered as an essential spiritual tool, a pathway that leads directly to deeper mindfulness and clarity of insight. Silence is not merely the absence of speech or noise, but an active, intentional state, a fertile space wherein spiritual awakening is cultivated. Through silence, we engage directly with the present moment, reducing distractions and enabling our innate wisdom to emerge naturally. The Buddha himself exemplified the profound use of silence in his teachings. On several occasions, his silence was the teaching itself, expressing truths beyond words. Buddhist teachings describe three kinds of seclusion. Physical solitude experienced as we remove ourselves from complex social dynamics. Mental seclusion that describes the aloofness of the mind while absorbed in deep meditation. And ultimate seclusion that transcends separation altogether. Regular periods of solitude can be psychologically refreshing. Through meditation, we discover that it can teach one independence, rest the mind, enhance an appreciation of silence, and give one the opportunity to have a good look at oneself. As the Buddha said, One who goes into solitude will either sink to the bottom or rise to the top. Most people need some degree of periodic solitude to learn to calm the anxious heart and quiet the distracted mind. Through the practice of meditation and mindful awareness, alternating time for inner retreat with time fully engaged with social concerns makes for a balanced approach to life. Noble silence is not just about not speaking. It is an internal state, one which is synonymous with deep meditation. Noble silence requires an understanding that unites three aspects of our being: body, speech, and mind. Such a union provides awareness of our whole body and understanding of who we are, allowing others to be who they are as well. Set aside periods each day for silence. Even 10 or 15 minutes can be transformative. Turn off all devices. Sit in a quiet space. Simply be with yourself without distraction. Notice what arises without trying to change it. Through this practice, silence becomes a gentle yet powerful healer, enabling the integration and release of past traumas and present anxieties. We cannot provide a quiet place to meditate everywhere, but true external solitude may not even be necessary. Solitude is ultimately an experience of relationship, specifically, our relationship to reality. Through meditation, we discover that lovers of solitude value this relationship and give it attention. Lesson 8. Cultivate death awareness and transform fear. Perhaps the most profound and liberating Buddhist practice for those in their elder years is the cultivation of death awareness. While this may seem uncomfortable to Western minds, it holds the key to living fully and fearlessly. Maranasati, mindfulness of death, or death awareness, is a Buddhist meditation practice of frequently keeping death in the forefront of thought. It is one of the most ancient and among the most liberating of all practices. The Buddha stated clearly, "Of all the footprints, that of the elephant is supreme." Similarly, of all mindfulness meditation, that on death is supreme. This isn't the cheeriest teaching in the world, and most people, when they first hear it, feel some resistance. But what is being asked of us as practitioners is to come face to face with the law of impermanence in an intimate way. Through meditation and mindful awareness, we learn that this practice is actually about embracing life, not fearing death. Thich Nhat Hanh taught, "A cloud can become rain or snow or ice, but a cloud cannot become nothing." And that is why the notion of death cannot be applied to reality. There is a transformation, there is a continuation, but you cannot say that there is death. Meditating on death does not hasten death. Through meditation, it helps us become more emotionally and spiritually prepared. A meditation on death is actually a meditation on impermanence, change, and appreciation. It is one of the most life-affirming practices possible. The pain of avoiding the unavoidable can actually be worse than the fear of surrendering to the inevitable. Through mindful awareness, acceptance is liberating. The avoidance of our mortality is the very thing that continues to perpetuate our cycle of suffering. Students often report and experienced practitioners confirm a certain lightheartedness that comes from practicing death awareness, a feeling of calm and ease. Many of us are carrying around a great deal of unacknowledged fear on the subject of death, and like any other fear, it weighs us down. Practicing death awareness helps flush out this fear, enabling us to face it and showing us that it too is an impermanent formation. The 5 remembrances are found in ancient Buddhist texts and serve as a concise reminder to stay present, accept life for what it is, and avoid trying to manipulate our experiences. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. If meditating on death seems too intense, try keeping the 5 remembrances visible. Write them on a piece of paper and keep them displayed where you'll see them daily. Look at them every day. Through this simple practice, you begin to acknowledge the truths we all share. The practice of death awareness flushes out hidden fear, allowing us to face and work with it. It creates a sense of spiritual urgency that motivates practice. It reduces the tendency to think we have unlimited time. It helps us appreciate the preciousness of each moment. Through meditation and mindful awareness, this practice lessens death's anxiety and enhances zest for living. As one teacher said, "We don't need a terminal diagnosis to start preparing for a mindful death." The best way to achieve a mindful death is to develop a mindful life. This way, we can better appreciate how fragile and meaningful life is, and therefore, we have more gratitude for the preciousness of every moment, every breath, and a life lived fully. By befriending death through this practice, we paradoxically learn to live more fully. Every breath becomes precious. Every encounter becomes meaningful. Every moment becomes sacred. This is not morbidity, this is liberation. Conclusion: living with wisdom and leaving a legacy of peace. As we integrate all these lessons, we arrive at perhaps the most meaningful purpose for our elder years: living with compassion and sharing the wisdom we've accumulated. Through meditation and the cultivation of mindful awareness, we discover that our true legacy is not what we accomplished or accumulated. It is the compassion we leave behind in the hearts of others, and the wisdom we pass to future generations. The modern world desperately needs the wisdom of elders. By continuing to be active in family and community, older Buddhists have an invaluable opportunity to pass on wisdom to the next generation. What we celebrate is the accumulated wisdom of just having lived so long, as opposed to the negativity of ageism. This is our contribution to a fast-moving culture that is becoming increasingly disoriented. The Buddha taught, "You yourselves, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." Compassion is not simply kindness. Through meditation, we discover it is the ability to see others with gentle understanding. It is the willingness to extend warmth without expectation. It is looking into another person's eyes and silently saying, "I recognize your suffering. I honor your humanity." As we age, we often become softer toward other people, yet strangely harsher toward ourselves. We replay old mistakes. We criticize our aging bodies. We judge past decisions through the lens of current wisdom. But compassion begins when you stop being the enemy of your own heart. Start by forgiving yourself, not because you deserve forgiveness only after proving something, but because you have suffered enough. You did your best with the level of awareness you had at the time. Every version of you along the way was trying, learning, and evolving. The Buddha also taught a simple but profound practice. When you encounter someone, whether family, a stranger, or even someone difficult, silently repeat, "Just like me, this person wants to be happy. Just like me, this person struggles. Just like me, this person deserves peace." Through this practice, barriers dissolve. You stop seeing people as opponents. You start seeing them as fellow travelers on the same uncertain journey. Compassion in older age also means shifting from impact to presence. Maybe you once supported many people, raised a family, built a career, or gave your strength to others. Now you are invited to offer something softer: presence, listening, patience, wisdom. People may forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. Serving others is a natural expression of Dharma practice. The Buddha taught that the Buddhist path begins and ends with generosity. Once a person has awakened, the Buddha often instructed them to go out to benefit others, to be of service. Generosity is not limited to giving material things. Through meditation and mindful awareness, we can be generous with our kindness, receptivity, time, attention, wisdom, and peaceful presence. The manner in which we give is as important as what we give. We should give with respect, with happiness, and joy. Older adults can be a valuable source of advice for younger people, particularly in areas of relationships and in cases of uncertainty. This provides a valuable contribution to society that is qualitatively different than that offered by any other age group. As you continue into this chapter of life, remember, your value is not measured in productivity. Your worth does not fade with age. You are not becoming less. You are becoming more essential, more grounded, more authentic, more deeply connected to what matters. The greatest gift you can give the world is the peace you cultivate inside yourself, because that peace naturally flows outward. Here is a simple practice to cultivate compassion in daily life. A small smile to a stranger, a patient tone in conversation, a soft word to calm someone's anxiety, a moment of stillness when someone needs to be heard. These actions seem small, but they echo. Your compassion might be remembered long after your name is forgotten. That is the nature of legacy, not loud, but eternal. Compassion is how you say without speaking, "I was here, and I made this world a little softer." If these lessons touch your heart, let them guide your days. Aging is not an ending, it is a deeper beginning. Through meditation and the cultivation of mindful awareness, you discover you are not here to hurry anymore. You are here to live gently, fully, and with purpose. These 8 lessons: letting go of the belief that there's nothing left to learn, releasing toxic relationships without guilt, being present in this moment, accepting impermanence, cultivating gratitude, embracing your body, practicing solitude, and befriending death, are not separate teachings. They are interconnected pathways, all leading to the same destination: liberation from suffering and the cultivation of profound peace. Through meditation, ancient wisdom becomes lived experience. The Buddha's teachings are not merely philosophy, they are practical tools for transformation. And in your elder years, you have the precious opportunity to apply this wisdom with the depth that only experience can bring. May you be peaceful. May you be present. May you be free. May you walk lightly through these remaining days, knowing that every breath is a gift, every moment an opportunity for awakening, and every day a chance to embody the wisdom you have accumulated. And may your journey inspire others to seek their own path to liberation. For in this way, the Dharma continues, generation after generation, like a flame passed from candle to candle, illuminating the darkness for all beings everywhere.